Hello. Hopefully this one will work better. I tried one of these videos for this yesterday and didn't work too good, too long. But here we go. Cobi M4A83 Easy 8 Sherman. Done, completed. Front box. Back box. Bear with me for a second. Oh. Want to eat my arm away from my body. And instruction booklet. Yuck. Instruction booklet. Oh, the build. Actually, it was very easy. I did one simple modification with it, and I will show you in a second. Okay. If you notice, there are no limbs, pieces of tree on the side. The reason being it's a World War II kind of a thing that they did in 1944 when they instituted these. You really didn't do anything. The armor was thicker than the regular Sherman. And if you use a Sherman's mobility and speed, chances of you getting hit, like deadly, were not bad. And you had a gun that could basically knock out most of your opponents. A 76 millimeter gun, which shot Sabot rounds, and were pretty good for penetrating enemy armors. This tank basically was brought up as a modification of the existing Sherman. The vertical volute suspension was replaced by the horizontal suspension, which necessitated for a wider track, which gave it better ground pressure and a better ride. Motor-wise, it was using the Ford GAU 500 horsepower 32 valve aluminum V8 engine. You can see in the engine bay there, I apologize, which propelled this tank to close to 30 miles an hour. Now you got all that to get there. It also came with two other figures. It came with an infantryman and a priest. Put them both there so you can see them. Very nice figures, as always. I prefer Cobi figures to Lego figures. Are more realistic. Usage. This tank was used from late 1944 until 1957, when it was retired out of the National Guard service. But after World War II, many of our former allies and other countries that were falling within our sphere of influence got these as military aid. Japan used them. In fact, Japan was big in refurbishing a lot of the World War II versions and getting ready for combat in Korea, which is where this thing actually improved its mettle. It went up in Korea against the T-34-85 that the Soviet Union supplied to the North Korean army. Well, initially we had to send Chaffee tanks in the fight, which light tanks wouldn't work. We were able to send these in from Japan with some M26 Pershings, and basically this tank was a tank that was doing most of the rock and rolling with the Soviet tanks that were supplied to the North Korean army. But let's not get off too far. This tank basically went up against the Tiger, the Panther, the Mark IV, Mark IIIs, whatever was available. And this is basically the tank that was in the movie Fury, the M4 A3 EZ8. The thing that's nice about this tank, you can hit from far away with the 76 millimeter gun, which will penetrate most of the armor. Like the what part in Fury where they were running to hit the back of the Tiger 1 tank, didn't need to. This gun will pierce the side armor right through if you were far away enough. And the thing with a tank, it's the person who lines up and gets the first hit that survives usually, regardless of the armor on the tank, the gun on the tank. If they're in position to go ahead and attack their enemies successfully, that's the tank that wins. This tank is very mechanically simple and did not break down. A lot of the German tanks were better on paper, better in the field when you met them, but they were unreliable. They had mechanical breakdowns, had problems with fuel. This solid American Ford V8 engine, Ran on high octane gas, which we had, and the supply line was good. But the beauty of this tank, you didn't have to put it on a rail car to transport it. You could drive it to wherever you were going. It'll go over bridges. It's not that big, and it can keep on moving. And sloped armor. The Germans didn't like sloped armor. They did it with the Panther when they tried to do the glacis plate and slope it. But it was basically United States and Soviet Union that liked sloping armor, which is the way these tanks came out. This is a good tank. This tank and the T-34, they said, but this one better than the T-34 because of the mechanical reliability part. Crew ergonomics, it's kind of a high tank, but it was actually kind of comfortable to be inside of it as a crew member. 5-man crew, driver, assistant driver, gunner, loader, tank commander, and what you may call it? I think a radio operator, I'm not sure. So there were 5 people in this, and it performed fairly well. Let's see what else do I have about this tank. I'm trying to look through my notes. It could go like at 110 miles. The top speed was 28 miles an hour. The armor plating on this tank was upgraded. It's not as heavy as on the jumbo Sherman, but it was heavy enough where these could go out in numbers. And if you had 10 of these out against 1 or 2 Tiger or Panther tanks, who do you think is going to win? The older Sherman, I mean, it could have been kind of a issue because the armor wasn't that good. A 75 millimeter gun wouldn't pierce armor. This is a totally different beast. It's better on the field. It's rides better. It's more maneuverable, and it's got a gun that can knock you into tomorrow. And these did really well. And this is actually the last version of the Sherman. And you see the Sherman used in post-war World War II. It's this version here. In fact, the Israelis used this in the Six-Day War in 1967. The only thing that they did, some of theirs got rid of this gun and replaced it with the French-made 75 millimeter gun, which was the 75 millimeter gun of the Panther tank, which the French kept producing and improving after the war. And they fit it to this tank, and it did well against newer Soviet tanks by being able to pierce through and rather effectively. It's an iconic tank, and it's basically a symbol of the United States in World War II. This particular one shows us as a dominating power at the end. I mean, ready to go and ready to end the fight. And this tank was part of the reason why we're able to do that. One other thing. If you look at the video on YouTube, the speed build of this, you'll notice that there's a gap over here. And you'll look at it like, huh? I thought I wasn't going to buy this tank because of that. Well, the problem is on the insides here. When you go to do this here, this part, there's like parts that need to be connected together. And as you try to put this whole part in to get it all to form, this thing kind of breaks down and stuff. So I don't know what the guy did that built it. But what I did is I took tweezers from a jewelry kit, long-nosed tweezer, plier kind of things. Was able to tighten them up, and everything sank into place, and voila, perfect symmetry in the hull. That was just me. I try to see what, and a lot of times you can fix things with these if you just take your time and try not to speed build them and build them for quality as well as quantity kind of stuff. You come out with a good tank. Once again, this was a EZH Sherman, and if you do buy this, and I think you would enjoy it. I don't know if it's going to be retired or not soon. You could buy it. You could build it the way it is there. The part where that connects has 2 holes on 2 sides and 2 flats. I just put the whole parts on the inside, put the flats on the side, so it's just a solid hull. The reason I did that because I'm going to do other videos explaining the post-war years, and this was basically this and the M26 later, M46 Patton tanks were the basic tanks of the U.S. Army in the early 50s. So, anyway, that's about all I have with this. I'm trying to keep these videos shorter. So, any comments, any questions, let me know, as I'm trying to change the way I do these videos a bit, and there will be more of them because I have a lot more free time now. But at least I'll be able to spend it doing something I like, and hopefully getting other people to like it and maybe helping them with a little bit of knowledge and information. Thank you for watching, and bye.